Thursday was our last full day skiing, because on Friday it was only going to be half a day. I tried to completely devastate myself on the slope. I was skiing without pause. I thought that the thing yesterday had meant something, but Yone seemed normal this morning, so I was worried. Did something happen? Did she realize it was going too far and was now backing out? I had no idea what to make of it, and so I didn't even look for Yone during the day. Then, when I was on the ski lift alone, I thought that maybe I shouldn't be mean to Yone just because I thought she was acting cold. And as usual, all these thoughts were swept away the second I saw her a few meters below me. She stopped to adjust and clean her glasses. It was difficult for her, because Yone wore her normal glasses and didn't have skiing glasses over them, and every now and then she'd had so much snow on them, it was hard for her to see. I could imagine it wasn't a total comfort. But she had that blue handkerchief, which she used to clean her glasses with. But she was so beautiful and she did it. Perhaps yes. Perhaps. Perhaps I thought it was even a bit cute. Because it was so normal, so everyday. It was hard to express in words. And then I remember how her glasses get all foggy when she steps into the warm cabin from outside. All of a sudden, it was my Yone again, and I realized how much I love everything about her. I didn't follow her though. I just kept on skiing, careless, maybe for the first time faster than Jan and Seto, because I needed to just ease my mind. By skiing that fast, I had no room for anything. It was just me and the sky truck. I had to completely concentrate on the ride if I wanted to safely arrive at the foot of the hill where the cable car of the Simple Sky lift would take me up again. We had dinner a little sooner than normally, because the cook had to go somewhere. Jan and Seto were already sitting next to the group of girls they liked. But then again, it was already normal. We knew each other by now, and it wasn't something special to talk to or be with someone not from our class. And so I agreed on playing a round of cards with Kotone and her friends. This time, however, there was Mr. Hayaki playing along as well. Since I had a good reputation as I won almost every longer set of games, we decided on a kind of tournament of truth. Tonight we would find out who is the ultimate card player. And so, the final four were me, one girl who was Kotone's friend, my already arch enemy for the evening, Mr. Hayaki, and one second grader who was also very good. The other gathered around us and peeked into our cards, each sitting behind their favorite. We played for an hour or so, and I was pretty equal with the second grader in terms of points. Mr. Hayaki didn't have his evening and was last at that time. Obviously he was completely out of luck, because he offered someone else to carry on the legacy. The legacy, I smiled. It was just as if he was talking to someone his age. I looked up and saw Yone. She looked at us and told us she'd take over and show us how it's done. It was true that I was going to play with Yone. She was going to sit in Mr. Hayaki's place, on my right. We'll be close, and I will be able to see her hands and everything. The game, it was actually a cooperative game, every time we played together with someone else against the other two. So it would happen that I would be playing with Yone against the two kids at some point, and several times. It was great. When we began, I was able to pull off a series of spectacular wins together with the girl who herself then drifted away from me. She had such great cards this evening. I was to be second. Yone that managed to defeat the second grader and lost the second place to me in a close battle. We then finished, shook hands and started to go to our rooms, and that was it. Quite ordinary, but the way we played, it was just a fantastic feeling. I thought about it the whole night when I tried to fall asleep, and I couldn't. Those moments when I was on the same side as Yone, and we were playing against the others, it was so great not to fail her. It was so great to know how. I can count on her good cards. This was the first time I could cooperate with Yone, the first time I could give her support and receive the same from her. And then, every success, every failure, we could share. It was so powerful, nothing mattered. It didn't really matter if we lost, because we lost together. And then we won. And when we won, we were happy together as well. It was something between only the two of us, but on a different basis than anything else before, and I had such a good time with Yone. Our last day was Friday. Saturday we were already going home and no skiing. Skiing? God damn it, why do I keep making the same mistake? Skiing. The last time on the slopes. And since it was the last day, and I had my share of breakneck goodbye runs yesterday, I joined Kotone and her friends for some casual skiing. In a way, everyone knew it's going to be over soon, so we sort of stuck together for even more. It was a great time. I also saw Yone a couple of times. She was also having a good time. When we came back, me and some other boys who borrowed the equipment had to return the skis. It was a strange, nostalgic atmosphere, because everyone knew it was over. Yano and Seto? Yano and Seto, yeah, right. Yano and Seto were determined to dance with the girls they liked, at least 2 times to make a point. They hoped there would be more slow songs today, as this was really the last chance to do something. And of course, the most important, the final dance would have to be with the ones they liked as well. In the afternoon, I went with some other 3rd graders to check out the surroundings at the village nearby. Yona stayed in the cabin with the girls and they were talking, I guess. Who knows, they looked so secretive from the distance, that they were maybe even discussing boys? Yona, as a young teacher, was the natural friend of Kotone and the girls. Mr. Hayaki and Mrs. Oriwara obviously liked the situation, because they could relax, as Yone was the primary person for all of the girls. The boys, we would probably talk to Mr. Hayaki, but Yone was also fine. Still, I didn't feel sad, because I couldn't join them on my last day. I had so many experiences that I didn't need to overdo it. At the beginning I thought I should have 2 moments with Yone, but now I had so many and so intensive. I couldn't believe how lucky and happy I was. And I wasn't some crazy stalker or something, who has to see Yone every possible second. The moment to think. Are you sure about that? Let's continue. When we had dinner, I was looking at Yone from time to time. I actually sat in a very good place. I thought of the ride in the bus, about the time I saw her in the morning, about the snowball fight and the cards. And it was true, the thing I kind of anticipated happened. No matter what, the sky trip was going to get me and Yone closer. And it was always going to be a memory I would have with her. I was talking with Jan, Seto and Akari over dinner, and I guess everyone felt it coming. The end. I knew that, for instance, Akari was being eyed by a 3rd grader, and he looked like the shy type. Nevertheless, my guess was he was going to go for the last dance with her. It's going to be a fun end to this time, at least. The evening came pretty quickly, because most of us spent the time pre-packing for tomorrow. And then it all began. It was going to be a little longer this time, since it was our last night, and so everything was set. The teachers were talking in the back of the room, checking on us from time to time with a few looks and then submerged into their talks as usual. The evening was great, I must say. Even the girls were active, and since we were really an easy group, I had no bad conscience over the fact that I was dancing with young girls anymore. I just treated them as friends. Of course, for the sake of friendship, I danced with Kotone 3 times in a row! It was more a show-off than anything else. On the other hand, why not? Kotone was a nice girl, and I hoped Jan or Seto would also have the courage to ask her after the one song ended to stay with them for a second one. But gradually, it all came to an end. The DJ announced the last song to be an extra long track. Naturally, everyone knew what it meant. It meant exactly that, you have to make this one count. I was already feeling sorry for those who discovered that their objects or affection asked another one's. But what could you do? Besides, not everyone was liking someone. Or were they? It's difficult to say, because the atmosphere was really hard to resist. I stood there. I wasn't going to ask anyone. I secretly hoped everyone would be so intimidated by Kotone and me dancing with her, that they wouldn't ask her and then Kotone would come for me and we'd end it with a friendship dance. But there was a boy who asked her, and so I was left standing there. And then my eyes wander off to look at the teachers when on second, I calculated all the pros and cons and decided. With quick steps, I rushed to where the teachers were sitting and asked Yone for a dance. Bravo! Bravo, sir! I did it in a playful way, kind of like I wanted to impress all the other boys by this. That I wanted to show them I couldn't compete with my popularity anyway. And it was true that I was the only one who could have done this without being looked at strangely. Had I been a quiet boy, asking my teacher for a dance would be really inappropriate and stupid. But I was the most active in her lessons. I was respected and so popular I could have any girl. That's why I did it. Because I could. Mr. Haki gave me a manly look of approval, smiling. And so was Yone. She looked at me in that way that only she could do. Her face saying something between respect for the courage. And on the other hand, I felt she was somehow also flattered. Maybe because this was a nice reminder for her that she was being considered old yet, not even by her students. It must always feel good. And so she stood up and went with me to the dance floor to join the others. A total triumph. Yone, she was walking beside me and we were going to dance. And whatever the reasons, whatever the tricks, it didn't matter. She said yes, and now she's the girl, and I am. I can't keep smiling now. Oh man, that's terrible. I'm the boy and we are going to dance, because I asked her and she said yes. Now she was with me, at my level, by dancing with me. She accepted all this. When the others saw the catch, the girls were smiling and the boys respectably nodded. It was great. Yone was one of us now. She came to have fun with us. For me, of course, this was something completely different. But the general mood of the surrounding people was like that. No one was having any other thoughts or explanations. Are you sure? It was just some fun. Even Yone eventually took it this way, but I wanted to show her that it wasn't a joke from my side. And so the last dance began. When we were ready to go, I turned towards Yone and put my hands around her waist. Yone put her hands on my shoulders. I instantly felt it. Her arms were heavier than those of the other girls. But that didn't matter, in fact it was wonderful. Now the lights were dimmed, even more than before, and the music played. There were no more looks from the others. Everyone danced with someone, and it was really. It was just me and Yone there. We were dancing together. Now I'm afraid he would do something stupid actually. Yeah, after the dance. I realized it now once again, by feeling her body in my hands. Now, I once more understood. Yone is a normal woman, not a goddess, no unattainable being. We're now as close as we could be without being forced to feel awkward because we would be too close. I wasn't touching her any other way than with my hands on her waist, and the gap between us was just enough for me to feel her breath. But I was touching Yone. It wasn't an accidental touch, like the time with the paper in the classroom. Her breasts, they were now right in front of me, and I couldn't afford Yone to catch me staring at them. Oh really, you don't say, you would die there. They were beautiful, of course, and I didn't want to think any further. I'd be lost in thoughts about how soft they are, and then, for the first time I could feel Yone's scent. She was close enough, and it's natural that you start feeling the scent after a short while. Normally, whenever Yone was close to me, I could smell her perfume at best. But this was mixed with the scent of her body. I was already thinking what to say, because we were so quiet and it would start to feel awkward after some time. It was at least supposed to have the lights undertone. And even if that wouldn't work, I always would want that we talk, because it was always such a joy to talk with Yone. But Yone was faster this time and asked me, as a joke maybe to break the ice, she asked me what I want. What I want? At first I didn't get it, but then I realized what she meant. It's true that everyone had that look on their faces when I brought Yone to the dance floor. Looks that took the whole thing as fun as me in the position of someone who wanted to show off with this. Maybe I even bet with my friends that I would have the courage to ask her. It was bad sense, but I needed Yone to know it wasn't like that. And so, instead of joking back, I stopped and lifted my hands from her waist a little. Now I wasn't touching her. It was like I was overly hurt by that assumption she made about me, and that I wanted her to feel guilty about accusing me. It was that sort of an almost childish reaction that was meant as an exaggerated joke back on her. And Yone? She reacted just like I wanted. She shook her head to show she got the joke and smiled at me. Then she moved a little closer towards me, effectively putting her waist into my hands again, which I kept in the same position. It was unbelievable. It was something so wonderful and sensual to do. Yone, she came back into my arms. Did she even notice what she did there? If one thought about it, it was almost scary. Nevertheless, I smiled and we started talking about leaving. It was a nice time and Yone wasn't very eager to go back to work, as I wasn't all too happy about having to attend school again. This was once again the Yone I knew, the kind of conversation I loved. Not to mention, it was a completely different atmosphere now than the time in the bus, because now we couldn't talk aloud, so we spoke with a silent voice, as to not disturb the others, but so that the other one could understand it through the music that played. And then, one moment I said something and Yone didn't understand it, so she moved her head closer, so I could speak closer to her ear. It was something I had just no words for. She did it as a natural thing, but for me, this was so special, because I didn't try to provoke this kind of situation. And Yone, she just did this so naturally. The last dance with Yone. If someone would tell me this, I wouldn't believe her at all. During that dance, so much happened between us, so much that cannot be expressed in words, that can just be felt, and I really did feel. I felt Yone. I felt how she is. From the way she reacted, I was more and more assured of my feelings for her. She was the kind of woman I liked. She was the kind of person I would love to be with. Then, there was Yone's voice. In this situation it was calming, all my senses, so beautiful, I could listen to it forever. And then, even though I tried, I couldn't help look at her breasts. I did look. Could she not notice? Something like that, even if it was for a second. And if true, did that mean she let me look? Because it wasn't really appropriate for us to look each other in the eyes, so I tried to look somewhere else, but how many other possibilities did I have? It's impossible not to look, and it would be absurd, foolish, and naive to think someone would not look or notice. Why don't you look in her eyes? Come on, it's easy! But then the lights went on, and everything came to an end. And Yone even thanked me for the dance before making her way to the teachers. We also cleaned up what was necessary and went up to our rooms. And Seto were completely taken by the last dances as well, so they didn't question me. And I tried to make it look like I'm not all moved, so they couldn't get suspicious. When the lights went down in our room, I let Jan and Seto talk, but I barely noticed what they were saying. Yone. There was only Yone for me now. It is needless to say that I did not sit at the front with Yone on our back home. It was a quiet ride home though. Most of us were tired because we couldn't sleep of all the excitement, and many of us were sad that this wonderful trip was over. It was hardly foreseeable that it would be this great. It would stay forever in our minds, maybe because no one anticipated that much. I spent the whole time looking out the window, and I even caught some sleep. It was maybe because I was too exhausted, too drained by all that happened during the sky trip. All the situations, Yone, all that used up so much of my inner energy that I needed to rest.